Hey everybody, what's going on? Y'all know who I am. Not because I'm famous, but because we're the only ones that come here. That's why you know who I am. And I look like I normally do. I'm wearing a dark colored shirt tonight. So everything's back to normal. I don't want anybody feeling uncomfortable or anything because I wore a white shirt. Something like you get used to seeing things the way that they normally are. And then when something changes, it's like, oh shit, like what is going on here? And, that can create a little bit of a wrinkle or a ripple into the fabric of the normal way of doing things or some shit. I don't know. This is what I'm saying is my opening. I don't have an opening. I don't even think of anything. It's just whenever I hit the start button, it just whatever comes out comes out, and that's what came out tonight. So, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing tonight? What are we going to talk about? I don't know, but the first thing we're going to do is just say hi to everybody. What's going on? Luck is Deadly, Kit Carson, Pitchfork, Lucas, Bezzy is here tonight. You have been missing for the past couple of nights. It is good to see you. Pitchfork, and anybody else that I'm missing? That's just y'all. Yeah. Miki, what's up, dude? Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Yeah, Mrs. Goats. It actually wasn't her mouse. She said it was her mouse that was having a problem, but it was actually her keyboard that came unplugged. Just the little USB plug that plugs into the back of the thing. At her office, there was a box or something that was underneath her desk, and she must have like pushed on it or something, and it pushed the cable out from the back of the computer. So she said, "I need you to come down there to help me fix it." And I said, "Well, did you check the plugs? Did you make sure everything's plugged in?" She goes, "I don't know. I don't know how to do all that." So I was, I was just like, "Fine, I'll come down." And when I see, that's the video I said I might not upload. I thought maybe I would just show it to you last night, but we never got to it, or I forgot, or whatever. And I wasn't even going to upload it. It's been in the computer. It's been on the computer. Well, it's been actually uploaded to YouTube, but I just never hit send on it for like the past 2 or 3 days since I think it was Monday, so a couple of days. And I was just sitting here and I thought, you know what? Just send that shit. Just freaking send it. Send it. Full send. And actually, it's performing pretty well, actually. More so than my other videos. But I did something different. I released it at 8 o'clock at night. And apparently, most of my viewers are on late at night. Big shocker, right? Um, and whenever I release anything in the daytime and then it runs all day long, you would figure that would help it out to get more views. But not for me, it doesn't. Not for me, because I guess my viewers are more uh, available to watch it, let's say, late at night. So, I mean, it's not like 8 o'clock is late at night, but for a video release, nobody releases videos at 8 o'clock at night. I'm the only one that does it, as far as I know. Because everybody knows that if you release it earlier in the day, more people have a chance to watch it because people are awake, and they're on YouTube. But that doesn't work for me. Whenever I release stuff in the daytime, it just flops. It just sits there and doesn't do hardly anything. And I have AI, like a little AI thing in there that tells you your best times to release videos, and it has been saying between 9 and 11 p.m. That's the best time to release your video, and I thought that can't be right, and I just ignored it. But I released a video that was closer to that time frame just a little while ago, and it's doing well. So it's got almost 1,000 views on it since 8, like in 2 hours. Let's see, I'll show you. Not that you're that interested, but I'm going to show you anyway, regardless. So, yeah, 800. It's got like around 801 views. So, it's not quite 1,000. See, here it is right there. It's in the number 2 spot, 2 hours and 12 minutes. It's got 801 views. For a shadow ban channel like mine, that's really not bad. That's not bad. You learn to appreciate the scraps that YouTube pushes off the table, because you're just like down there underneath the table. Like the family dog. The family dog gets treated better than I do. Like if I was the dog and YouTube was the human that owned me, let's say, I would be kicked, stomped on, put outside in the cold, not fed for several days. And if I am being fed, it would be, just small portions, just enough to make you hungrier. And then, not washed or bathed or anything. I'd have fleas all over me. There'd be piles of excrement all over the place because they wouldn't clean that shit up. Because, the human who owns the dog has to clean up the dog's, droppings, let's say. So there would be all of that laying around. And that would be my relationship with YouTube. If I was the dog and they own me. But they don't own me, and one of the reasons why they shit all over me is because I don't comply. I don't comply I'm not good at complying. I'm just not. That's not my nature, is to comply very, very much. In certain situations, let's say. But I've learned to like really. Oh, thank you for the scraps, and so. And when a video gets 800 views on it in 2 hours, oh, thank you. And it's just like some frickin' bone or whatever that doesn't even have any meat left on it. Just a little bit, just some tendons and a little bit of fat and gristle. And tasty gristle. That's me. That's me appreciating the gristle that they drop, or the crumbs or whatever. They dropped a potato chip or whatever off the table. And, oh, I found it. Oh, God, so good. I get treated so well. Thank you, master. Stupidity pisses me off. What's up, dude? Linnell is here. What's up? Freedom is here. What's going on, man? What is going on? Luck is deadly. Says busy. Oklahoma's got crazy. Oh, so, okay, you're talking to her. Y'all talking about tornadoes or some shit? Okay. Right now, our weather's pretty decent, so I'm not thinking about the weather too much right now. OG Go Fan, what's up, dude? How are you, man? I see you. You didn't scroll up past the point before I saw you. Almost. You were like 2 away, and if 2 more people posted before I looked up, then you would have like vanished into obscurity. But I did see you, man. Unless I scroll into obscurity. See, when I grab the chat and I scroll up, that I'm scrolling back in time, and back in time can be obscure. So I just want you to know, I saw you, I caught you. Kit Carson says we're night owls. Yeah, I mean it's just you guys that are basically watching my videos, and if y'all are on late at night. Why would I release something in the daytime? I guess the next video I release, I'll release again late at night. But watch that not work. So anyway, I've learned I'm a kicked dog. I'm abused and beaten dog. My master YouTube kicks in and beats me, and I've just learned to expect the beating, right? After a while, you just learn that that's just normal life to get beat. Getting beaten by your master is just normal life for an abused animal. And I know I'm kidding about that. That's a very serious thing. And any human that abuses their animal needs to have the same thing done to them. Whatever they do to that animal, they need to have done to them. And I'm not even kidding about that. See, the dog, or whatever the animal is, it's innocent. It's an innocent creature. It doesn't have a higher intelligence like we do. doesn't have a conscience or anything like that, doesn't know really right from wrong. But human beings do. And so there's no excuse. And so any human that abuses an animal in any way is not going to rank very high on my list. And those people need to feel the same thing that they did. But see, we don't punish human beings like that. They just get fined or put in prison or whatever. And that sucks. But I kind of believe in if you abuse an animal, you should, whatever you do to that animal should be done to you. And that will teach you. It really will, because then whatever that animal felt, then you feel. And then you're like, oh, so that's how it is. You know, that's a good way to learn, to not do that. Because if you wouldn't want it done to yourself, then it's kind of like, you have to think in terms of whatever you do to others. Would you want that to be done to you, what you're doing to someone else? And if the answer's no, that's a good indicator as to not to do that thing. That lets you know it's probably wrong. It's probably the wrong thing to do. Because if it's done to you and you wouldn't like it, then chances are somebody else or your animal probably wouldn't like it either. They have feelings and emotions, and they feel love and all that stuff too. I mean, they're not as intelligent in the same way as human beings are, but they feel emotions and pain, and they can be depressed and scared. And but you know, the thing about a dog is, or your animal, whatever it is, they love you unconditionally. They love you. And see, that's the thing that makes it even more crucial to treat them right. They don't have any conditions at all for their love for you as their owner, as their lead animal, you know, in their pack or whatever. They look at you as the alpha, and they look up to you, and they will follow you anywhere, and their love for you is unconditional. You don't have to say the right thing or whatever in order for them to love you. They're always excited when you come home, and that they get upset whenever you leave them. You know, it's just, and that's why that makes it even more important to treat them kindly and with love, because they love you unconditionally. And you know, and how people could not understand this, it's beyond me. I just don't know. I mean, I could just look at the animal and I can just see it. I can see it you can look in their eyes and you can see it. So anyone who abuses an animal needs to have that same thing done to them. I firmly believe that. SJM Rides, what's going on, man? Freedom says, if Goat would take on a new persona like Evil Roy Slade or Yosemite Sam, then he'd have millions of followers. I don't understand what that means. I don't understand what you mean by that. Sometimes I'm a little slow, man. I'm not trying to be. I need my fan. You want to know why I need my fan down here kind of like blowing up like this? It's because when I breathe out, some of my breath goes up through the top of the mask, and it fogs up my glasses. And then when I breathe in, it gets clear. And when I breathe out, it fogs up again. So it's like fog, clear, fog, clear. But then when I have this fan down here that's casting a nice breeze up, it's not a problem. Luck is Deadly says he has 3 dogs and they're his kids. Right on, man. Absolutely. They are family members. It's like a parent that abuses their kid, you know. It's the same thing. It really is the same thing. Well, no, it's not. You know, are you saying a human is on the same level as an animal? In some ways, absolutely, because of the things I said. You know, you don't do it to your kids, you know, and you don't do it to your animals. Just the same. You don't do it to either one. If you had to choose one over the other, like if there was a fire in the house or something and you could only save one, your kid or the dog, of course you would pick your child. Sadly, that would be an awful situation to be in. Then you would not want to be forced to make that decision because it would bother you. It would haunt you for the rest of your life if you were faced with that choice. And there have been people that have been in that situation, and I do not envy them in any way. But of course, just use an example. That would be one of those times where you'd have to pick your kid, over. Naturally, of course you would, but you would want to say both. So anyway, Ryland, what's up, Ryland? How am I doing? I'm okay, man. I've got a plan. I'm a man with a plan. I'm a man with a plan. I might tell you what that plan is. I might tell you. I might not. Lucas Daily says, "Go. If you could have 5 bikes in your garage right now, what would they be? They'd be all the top tier super sport bikes. That's what they would be. I like that Aprilia, that super duper MotoGP Aprilia. It's all black and everything. I don't even know if it's street legal, but that thing looks amazing. I don't even know what it's called. It's an RSB4 it's a version of the RSV4. Have y'all seen that? I was watching Instagram earlier today and it popped up, and that thing just looks amazing. It looks just like the MotoGP bike, and I think you can buy it. So that would be one. The other one would be, of course, the Ducati Superleggera, the top of the line. The 100th anniversary version looks amazing. I would like to have that. I would like to have that very much. I would like to have that. I would like to have that quite a bit. So those two bikes right there would just be insane. Both are dream bikes, right? And then what would be the third one? I always want to throw the Triple R Fireblade in there just because of how capable it is. The fact that it's so fast on top makes me really like it. And it seems like it handles really good. It's stable in the turns. Looks really nice. And a V4, I already said the Superleggera, which is kind of like, but I still would like to have the V. I don't think I would want a V4R. I'm not interested in the V4R. I like the V4S more than the V4R, and it's cheaper too. I mean, it's got more torque and more mid-range power, and it's got almost as much power on top. So the V4S is going to be a much better bike than the V4R, unless you need the V4R for if you're going to use it for racing. But those are 3 bikes right there, and then I might want something different, like a retro custom cafe racer of some kind, as a fourth, and then maybe some other style of bike as the fifth and final bike. But I don't really know for sure. Yeah, I'm just thinking about one bike right now, really. And I can't get any of those other dream bikes. I don't have the money to buy those. And I'm not complaining about that. I live a good life. I have a good life, and I've all the things that I need. I get by pretty well. But it would be nice to have those things if I could. I mean, since you're asking me, if somebody was like, here, make a list and you can have these, I would be like, yeah, one of these and one of those and one of those. But I'm not really interested in. What I'm interested in are the things that really perform at the highest level for what you can get. That's just I would feel very limited if I had a motorcycle that didn't flick really good and didn't brake really good, didn't accelerate really good. All of those things are what I'm looking for. So I don't know. I didn't really answer your question 100%, but I would have to really think about that. Let's see. Where are we at here? Psycho GSXR. What's up, man? The goat. Yeah, man. That's me, man. I am the goat. I am. I was born this way, man. What can I say? Um, SJM Ride says the RSV4 Extrenta is an $80,000 race bike, not street legal. But good luck on stopping the goat from riding it on the street. Yeah, I mean, I would, if I wanted to, I'd ride it on the street. Like who's going to stop you? You know what I mean? It's like you can't really be stopped. I mean, if you were to do it, I mean, it's no. How are they going to stop you? It's like there's no way to stop it, really. I mean, they'd have to throw the entire force after you. They'd have to get on every flock camera and every highway cam and they'd have to get a chopper and all that shit. I guess they could if they were willing to do all that stuff. I mean, if they threw the entire force at you, I'm just saying theoretically, you'd probably get caught. If they really, really wanted to bring all of their resources in on you to focus on you, then they could probably get you if they wanted to. But if you're just out cruising around and then you could probably pass 10 of them out there, and they wouldn't even around here. They probably wouldn't even do anything. They would just be like, they wouldn't care. I don't even think they really care that much, to be honest with you. And that's a normal position for them to take. It really is. They're not all butthurt because they see a bike like going faster than traffic. They don't lose their shit because of that. The who's around here, they're very cool. They're very chill. They're very measured. They seem to like bikes, I don't even think they dislike them around here, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. They don't seem to be that worried about it. And they just kind of, I mean, so far, I mean, I don't know. Anything could change. I mean, they might come to my house right now. I mean, they might come to my work tomorrow if they want. I'm just using me as an example, or anybody else. I see other bikes out there. And the cops always are just really chill and laid back, and they don't overreact like you see like in other places. I can't even imagine riding a motorcycle in some of the other places that I see in videos or on Instagram where the cops are like all doing this. They're like running up to bikers at lights and shit. Like, come on. And they're like in undercover vehicles, and then they're pulling in front of them to nab them, and then they jump out of the car really fast to nab them. They don't do that around here. They don't fuck with that. They're not. It's almost like God, what's the word I'm looking for? Whenever I see that stuff, I'm going, dudes, chill. It's like, why are you like so wrapped up into nabbing the biker? It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. And for whatever reason, they get that here. It seems like to me, but who knows? I mean, anything could change tomorrow. There could be a change, where every single one out there decides to chase or whatever, it's just, who knows? I mean, it's entirely up to them. And, but I have to say, that I really respect the way that they handle stuff around here, because they just don't lose their shit. And whenever I do talk to cops, like I got pulled over in my car the other day, they just checked my license and said, hey, what's going on? I'm just like, oh, nothing, I'm just trying to get home. And they're like, okay, have a nice night. They didn't, I mean, they could have wrote me tickets if they wanted to, but they don't. And then the last cop at the gas station when I was on my bike, he just comes up and shakes my hand. He's like, hey, man, I love your bike. And everybody thought that guy, remember I posted that video and everybody thought, oh, no, he's fishing for info, man. He's out to get you. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? I mean, it's kind of an odd thing when a cop, just pulls up in front of you and gets out, shakes your hand, and just kind of checks your bike out and asks you questions. I mean, it's kind of an odd thing that nobody really experiences that. But, you know, I wasn't that worried about it. I even posted the video about it. And that cop was just cool, you know? He was just laid back and chilled. Super cool, you know? I mean, that's what we all want. We all want the cops to be like our friends and nice to us. And then when one is friendly and nice to you, you know, you're like, oh no. But I get it. It's because all the cops in the other areas, they are plotting against people. I see it. That I mean, they are that in some areas that, like I was telling you last night, that thought taking guy or whatever the fuck his name is. However, like, what does that even mean? Though taking, like, what does that even mean? It's a weird name. I thought I had a weird name, but his name is like really weird. But I never could understand what that means. But he made a video where he's sitting in his freaking storage unit with his bikes, and then he's like talking about how the cops are plotting against him and trying to accuse him of stuff and this and that. And he was thinking, because I have a lot of influence, and you know that it's like they want to get me to like talk to the community for them and stuff. I was like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. They don't give a shit about that. They can bust whoever they want, and they don't need your help. They don't need your help to police the community. He's just got a little bit of an ego, you know, that kid. He's young, you know, and when you're young, I mean, whenever I was young, I probably had an overinflated ego myself too. So I'm not like saying he's unusual in that way or anything, but it's definitely there. You know, you give a kid all that money from making all that money from YouTube because he blew up somehow, you know, and then because he wasn't shadow banned by YouTube, by the way, and then he gets on there thinking that the cops are messing with him, you know, and I think it's just because they see that they can. It's easy for them to mess with him and to make him feel uncomfortable. That's all it was. Just because he didn't know how to deal with them. He didn't know how to like be strong around them. He got scared and weak around them. And anytime, whenever you're like scared and weak, they sense that shit and they see your weakness, and then they'll attack the weakness. They think it's funny. I think it's funny too. I'm with the cops in that case. That kid deserves it. Anyway. No mercy. I have no mercy. No mercy at all. I have a little mercy. I really do. Silo Star, what's going on, man? You unsubbed from Though Taken today. He bought a Harley. F him. I'm done with this guy because he bought a Harley. Okay, man. That's fine. I mean, you're free to bust his chops for that. But, you know, I never really liked him because he was talking shit about bikers like that go out and actually ride the bikes. You know, he did that for a while. He was on that kick for a while, but somehow, you know, he blew up on YouTube and got 1 million subscribers or whatever very quickly, and because he wasn't shadow banned for some reason. He came in after. See, I came in before the shadow banning took place, and then I was growing pretty fast myself, but then, you know, I deleted my channel or whatever, and then I started over, but at that point I got hit, you know. Well, they kind of hit my first channel there at the end too, so, and then they hit other people too with the restriction. ZX10 Mez, Will Kid Hill, me, Angry D got hit by that same shit, and some other people. And then they got a group of us, but then he came on after that, and then nobody ever noticed him. So he was able to grow because of that. I mean, he did a lot of shorts or whatever. So, and then, but I've watched not very many of his videos. I've watched like maybe like 4 or 5 of them total, and I just can't. It's just like I don't line up with him at all. I just don't I don't gel with him at all. I don't like what he says and how he says it and all that stuff. It just it doesn't I can't connect with it. So um it's funny too because he's the one that was saying, "Oh, no, don't speed on the motorcycle. It doesn't make any sense." And blah blah. He wasn't. He was saying all that shit, and then he's the one that has the cops come out. See, when the cops came and talked to me, they shook my hand and they were kind to me. They didn't mess with me in any way. They were just having a conversation with me like man to man. It was definitely man to man. There was no ribbing or messing with me or trying to make me feel uncomfortable. They were trying to make me feel comfortable whenever I was talking to them. And I appreciated that very much. And this last cop, he was super cool, and but then when the cops were talking to him, he's the one that has that scruffy like bale of hay hair, it's really weird. Like straw, he has that straw haircut or whatever. And then and then he was the one that was saying, don't go out and speed on your motorcycle, take it to the track and all that shit. And they can see he's weak, you know. You know who else gets along with the cops really well is Jixerbra. Jixerbra has no problem with the cops. You know why? Because he'll go right up and talk to them and joke around with them and stuff. And they see you eye to eye at that point. They don't look down on you. They don't look at you as weak in that way, It I don't know. They find him annoying too. That's what it is. He's annoying, and they find him annoying regardless. And so there you go. Oh, so anyway, do pizza on pizza on pizza. Looking a little Antifa there. Yeah, man, you like it? Do you like my look? What? Freedom says motorcycle cop gets killed in crash. Oh no, man, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't want any of the cops out there in the line of duty or elsewhere or otherwise to get injured. I don't want any of them to have a hard time. I don't wish anything bad on them. And when something goes wrong, when fellow rider, a motorcycle cop's fellow rider gets killed or injured or something, that's devastating. It's very painful. I hate to hear about it. It's awful. Houston. Oh, it's in Houston. Let me. God, oh man, it's depressing. Hang on. All right. This is KHOU Houston. Yeah. Okay, hang on. All right, here we go. This is terrible. God, I hate this. I really don't like this.
A Houston motorcycle officer is thankfully going to be okay after a crash that shut down
thankfully
part of
going to be okay.
highway. HPD tells us that officer was escorting heavy equipment heading south on the loop when the driver of a Toyota Prius lost control and hit the officer.
Prius. What did I tell you? It's always a Prius, y'all. I've said it in videos. Y'all know, if you watch my videos, y'all have heard me say, it's always a Prius. Like in the left lane or doing some stupid shit. You always come across these freaking idiots in these Priuses. Oh, God. God help me.
Led to some traffic on the South Loop near 288, which has since cleared. We're told the officer was taken to the hospital
these
with
giant
neck
houses
and back injuries.
My God. Did y'all see these houses? Look at
when
this.
The driver of a Toyota Prius lost control and hit the officer. This led to some traffic on the South Loop.
Are these apartments? Those probably apartments, right? That's way too big to be houses, but man, those things are insanely huge, right? Like, look at the size of the cars in the highway. Look at the size of these houses. I don't even know where that is. Oh, near Highway 288. That's not far from where I am. Oh boy. Oh, I know where this is. I know where this is. It's just south. Downtown would be up here. Would be up here this way. So, who super chatted me? OG Goat fan, $20 super chat. Thanks, buddy. A little help with gas money, Goat. I love watching your videos. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much, man. So this officer was injured in a crash due to some freak in a Prius. Well, that's. I thought it was going to be killed, but apparently that's not. I'm happy. I'm happy that he's going to be okay. Seth is here. What's up, dude? So, oh, now here's one that died. Okay, so now we got to go through this. Okay. All right. I hate this. Okay, here we go. God, this is terrible. So, this is Channel 2. His loss is felt deeply. Houston police officer conducting traffic escort. See, the motorcycle cops, that's really all they do is do like heavy equipment and funerals and that kind of stuff and big oversized loads out on the highway. They don't really pull people over or pursue people. A Houston police officer conducting a traffic escort on a motorcycle died when he was struck by another vehicle in Anderson County Wednesday. Alex Roberts was killed in the crash, which happened around 4:20 p.m. Wednesday. This is terrible. Sorry to hear it. No details. So probably what it was is this is terrible. May his family have peace and the ability to continue on. May peace be with his family and his friends, of course, which are the fellow officers that he worked with and stuff. And we fully support them and are with them. But what happens is when they take when they're escorting, as you all know, y'all all have seen these motorcycle cops do this. They will go into the intersections with their sirens and lights on and stop traffic so that larger loads can make it through. And that might have been how it happened, was entering an intersection and somebody just coming and plowing into him. Probably it can be dangerous work, you know. And you think, well, they're not in pursuits or they are not chasing criminals into back alleys or through backyards or whatever, but I'm sure some of them do that sometimes. They are officers, and if they're in an area to do something like that, they probably will do it. But typically their job mainly consists of escorting larger loads on the highway. And so, but the risk that they take is putting themselves in the way of traffic so that, whatever they're escorting can make it through. So, I'm sorry to hear about that loss for the Houston Police Department. So anyway, not to be depressing you guys, but it is a part of riding motorcycles, unfortunately. Z is here. What's up, Z? How are you? Yeah, intersections are dangerous. Luck is deadly. Yes, it is. Yes, they are, I should say. Thanks for the super chat, OG Go fan, man. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot. The super chats that I'm not asking for, by the way, do help to keep me going. They really do. I like I like the fact that if my videos get views on them, then I could just make money from the ad revenue, and then the advertisers on YouTube pay me, for making the videos. But when YouTube restricts your content as much as they do mine, it's hard. So the super chats mean a lot to me, and I appreciate it very much. So what else? I tried something today on the duck. I put, I don't know if you guys, did I tell you this? I put the factory air filter, the OEM paper air filter back in the bike, and I've been running with that for the past week or so, right? And the bike's been running fine. It's been running great. And then, as far as I know, and then I thought, you know what? I was doing a hard pull yesterday, and I was thinking, maybe, maybe there I could get some more power out of it if I put the Sprint filter back in it. So last night after the live stream, I went downstairs and I swapped the filters, and I put the Sprint filter back in it. I took the OEM filter out, and when I did the paper filter, I took the paper filter out, and then I just moved it in my hand, and I had turned it upside down from where the front is, like the pleats in the front where all of the air comes in. Well, that catches all the sand and the debris and everything. And when I just inadvertently flipped it over, a bunch of sand came out onto my foot, because I was barefoot, right? I don't wear shoes in the house. And so I felt all of this sand hit the floor and the top of my foot, and I was going, holy shit, that's a lot. That was a lot of sand. I went out and I rode out in the country, and that's really the only ride really I've done, except for to and from work. And there's not that much sand out here in the city on these roads, on these highways, because I changed the filters, checked the filter out. Even with the OEM filter, I'd pull it out. Even before I would replace it, I would pull it out and I would slap it on the ground to get rid of the sand and stuff that's in there, and kind of blow it out just a little bit, even the paper filter. And then I would put and check everything and put it back in. And not that, there's always a little bit of sand and stuff that's in there, but I'm talking about like little fine particulates of sand and dirt, right? Like really fine stuff. And usually there's not that much. Like not enough to where when you flip it upside down, it pours out onto your foot. And I'm not talking about a whole pile or anything. And it's not even a whole lot that you would even see if you looked, but I could feel it all. And it just poured right out. And I was thinking, dang, that's a lot. And then I took it to the back of the garage on the floor, and then I just started smacking it on the ground, and a lot of debris came out. A lot. Little fine stuff. And I was thinking, man. And one of the reasons why, I think, is because the roads out in the country are this very pebbly, rocky asphalt. It's not regular blacktop. It's got a bunch of freaking pebbles and rocks. It's kind of a rough surface. And I think when the cars and the trucks go over, and the motorcycles, a lot of it gets kicked up. A lot of it, like rocks and things. I got a huge rock chip on the nose of my bike too, by the way. So, and whenever I'm following the other riders, because I wasn't leading the whole time. I led some of the way, but a lot of the time I was just following Rob or Jake or Eunice, the other guy. And when you follow really close, I think the tires from the bike and directly in front of you kick up a lot of that sand. And on the Ducati, it's got those two big open slots, like right underneath the headlights, that are just direct right into the filter. There's no like chambers or anything like that block anything off. It's direct right into the filter. There's no flapper or anything like there is on the R1. R1's got like this little flapper in there that's vacuum activated. It's kind of strange. But this bike doesn't have that. So anyway, there was a lot of debris. And I didn't even think I just put that filter in like several days ago. I didn't even think it would have that much stuff in it. But it did. It did. And I found that to be interesting. So anyway, I put the sprint filter in it. And I rode with it today. And I'll be darned if the bike didn't feel slower. It felt like it was more sluggish and slower with the sprint filter in it compared to running it with the factory filter. So maybe it's getting too much air with that sprint filter for the tune that's on it. And then when I put the factory filter in, it seems to be sharper and more snappy. So I'm going to but after I'm done here with you guys, I'm probably going to go down to the garage, but I think I'm going to put the BMC filter back in, the one with cotton gauze, and I'm going to try that one again and see how it performs. Because I would rather use that one than the factory filter, because if I decide to go that the factory filter is best, then I'm going to have to continue to buy them like every so often, right? Every few months I'll have to buy them, and they cost about $50 or whatever. And usually every other oil change is whenever I change the filter, the air filter. So. I think the factory paper filter might flow more than the BMC filter, by the way. It's possible. So out of the three filters, the factory filter may be the best one. And say, for example, in the future, say I get another duck, right? Which I may do. I probably won't ever use a sprint filter again, because I think that sprint filter is what caused the problem with the bike consuming oil. My bike consumes oil, and it's got me worried. It really does. And, the bike runs okay, but I just think if it's consuming oil, that means the rings in it are probably worn out. And I think that sprint filter is what did it. So if you're thinking about using the P08 filter or whatever, I probably wouldn't do it. I would not. I absolutely would not do it. Now, it could be just the fact, it could be a coincidence, and it could be just because the bike's got 42,000, almost 42,000 miles on it. It could be that, but it wasn't consuming any oil before that. So, but it could be that, but seems kind of like an odd coincidence to me. And by looking at how much debris and debris meaning sand and stuff that the factory filter is catching, and whenever I take the sprint filter out, I don't see that much debris in the filter. There is some, it catches some, but then on the inside of the filter, I'm seeing sand on the inside of the airbox from the sprint filter letting some of the sand through. And I think that is something that can cause a lot of damage to the motor. You don't want that. Trust me, it doesn't make you feel good, knowing your bike is consuming oil like that. So does it still run? And it doesn't put smoke out or anything. It doesn't smoke at all. There's no smoke, puffs of smoke or whatever coming out of the exhaust pipe that I'm aware of. The exhausts are way down low, but when I start it or whatever, there's no smoke that comes out or anything like that. It runs fine. But you would think if it's consuming oil, maybe it's not having as much compression as it used to. So thereby it could be, some of the power could be reduced as well. So, but what my plan is, I'm a man with a plan. What my plan is that at some point, maybe before the end of the year, I may get a new one. That's what I'm going to try to do. That's what I'm going to try for. I'm going to try to get the new duck, maybe the 26 V4S, perhaps. We'll see. I don't know, because I really don't want anything else. After owning the Ducati V4S and just the way it feels and all of the cool things it's got about it, I don't think I would want anything else. Now, I know the new one looks a little different than the one that I have now, and some people don't like it as much. And I don't think it looks as good as the one that I have. But, a new one, it's going to happen at some point, and that's the way they look now. So that's what we're going to be going with if I can. We'll see. Alex Corns. Did I say your name right? Is sand, gravel an issue when going really fast? I mean, it just depends. I mean, what I'm talking about is not like gravel or sand that would cause traction issues on the road. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is that whenever cars and trucks go over the road, whenever the tires come in contact with the road surface, some of that road surface gets grinded down into sand. And whenever you're following a car, a truck, or a motorcycle out there, the tires and just the breeze, the wind that's created by the vehicle kicks up some of that sand that's been grinded off the road surface by the tires of all the vehicles that go up and down it, is going to be taken into your air intake on your car or motorcycle. Your motorcycle more so, especially a bike that has two big giant breather openings for ram air in front. That's designed to have all of that air just rushing in, especially when you're out there giving it throttle and gas and you're following somebody directly behind them. So I think looking at the road surface out there, that's probably where all that extra sand and debris came from that was in there. I'm not trying to like over exaggerate or anything, or give you the impression that it was like filled with sand. That wasn't the case. It was enough that fell out on its own without me slapping it on the ground, and that usually doesn't happen. So it was more than usual. And the point that I'm making is if any of that gets past your filter into the motor, that stuff is it's very abrasive, and it's going to have a negative effect on your rings, your piston rings, and that may be what happened on my bike. Is it enough to tear down the performance of the bike? It runs good as far as I know. It feels like it's still strong and all that stuff. It still pulls like you wouldn't believe, but is it down on power compared to what it could be? It might be. I don't know. I mean, when you ride the bike as much as I have, whenever, like, it's really fast and it pulls like really hard, but you do kind of get used to it in a way. You become familiar with that. When you do lots of pulls on the bike, like say for example, you were riding a 600 for a while, and then all of a sudden you upgraded to a 1000 or like this bike. When you first start riding it, you're going to be like, holy shit. You're going to be like, my God, the power of this thing. That's the impression you're going to get for a while when you first get it. But then after you own it for 4 years, like I have, you adapt to it. And it's just, that becomes normal to you. And so, you may get the impression that it's not pulling as hard as you once remember it to be pulling, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to know. The only way to really know if it's got an issue would be to put it on a dyno, but you would have to dyno it when it was in good shape to get a proper baseline, and then dyno it a more recent dyno, and then judge. But even if you do that, sometimes the day is different, the temperature is different, and this and that. It's always going to be difficult to have a perfect indicator. But the best thing to do would be to do a compression test on it and see. But I really need to talk to the guys up there at V1 and ask them, like, when they pulled the spark plugs, did they notice one was darker than the other, or a couple were not the same? Were they all the same color? Were some darker than the others? I mean, that's kind of an indicator. It could be an indicator. So anyway, that's something that I've done recently. That's something I'm going through, but I would like to, at some point, trade it in or sell it or whatever and get a new one. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes in the future. Hopefully sooner than later. Because I've had this bike for 4 years already. So I've ridden it quite a bit. I've ridden it a lot. And it has done well for me over the years. So it would be nice to start fresh with a new bike again. That's normal. Just like if you have a car. I mean, you keep a car for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then you trade it in and get a new one. Because they start to get miles on them and stuff. And my bike has a lot of miles on it compared to other Ducatis. Why? Because I like to ride it. I bought it to ride it. That's what I bought it for, and that's what I've done with it. Is it better to have less miles on your bike? Of course, but whenever you're like worried about miles, that means that you're not riding it. So why did you buy it? Did you buy it just to like protect the miles on it, or did you buy it to actually ride it? For me, of course it would be nice to have less miles on it, but that would mean that would be all of those miles that I never used it. So I bought it and I'm using it. I'm actually using what I purchased. A lot of people, don't use them that much. They'll buy them, but then they don't really use what they bought. They just once in a while they'll take it out. Fair weather riders or whatever, or go to like some Cars and Coffee or something. I actually bought this bike and ride it. I actually ride it. And I commute on it too, because I don't know if y'all watched the video that I just released at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time earlier this evening. But that gives you a direct look inside what is out here on the roads all the time, like regularly. It's like that. And for me, whenever I'm in a car and I'm sitting behind all of those other people and look, if you look at the video, you can see sections where I get around the traffic and then there's nothing there in front of them causing a reason for them to not go. But they don't. They just like to sit there for some reason. They love to go, like to be sitting in traffic. It seems like they really, like Stockholm syndrome. That all of these people have Stockholm syndrome whenever it comes. They've learned to love their traffic. And they want to participate in the traffic. Not even thinking that they don't, maybe if they would just kind of think a little bit and just go a little bit, then don't be afraid, like whenever the car pulls away in front of you, to keep up with that car. Whenever, say you're sitting in traffic and then the traffic starts to break, like because traffic just builds up in some sections on the road for whatever reason. But then there's no accident or construction or anything there, and then what happens is it starts to free up, and then the cars will one by one leave that traffic, that dense, slow traffic section, and they're like, oh, there's nobody in front of me, let me speed up. And some of the cars actually will start to speed up and go, but some of them see the car in front of them and they just stay in slow mode. That they don't ever wake up to the fact like, oh, I can go, at a normal speed now, and they sit there, and then they just clog everyone up, and that creates this giant clump of extending the traffic, and they just don't go. And whenever I'm on the bike, I can go up to the front because I lane split and go around them all. I'm not going to sit behind those fools. And then I can see what's up front, and then I can see the people that are doing this. And I guess that gives me a window that I'm not supposed to see. I have a window into seeing the cause of this that most people are not allowed to see because there's no way for them to see it. And even other motorcycle riders I see them out there. There's a lot of them sit in traffic, like behind the cars, and they just stay there. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. Like, if you want to sit there, you go right ahead. Sure. And they watch me go by, and I just like, later, sucker. It's like, what are you doing? And so even other motorcycles don't even get to know why they're sitting in traffic. But I zoom up to the front, and then I look right at them, and they're just like, and they're just, it's annoying, it's aggravating. So the point that I was trying to make is, if I'm in a car and I'm stuck in all that shit, man, it just bugs the hell out of me. I can't deal with it, folks. I can't. It is too. I mean, sometimes I have no choice because me and Mrs. Goat have to go somewhere. We're going to meet family for dinner or some shit, or we've got to go do something together on our day off, and then I got to get out there and that shit, and I just have to just resign to the fact, like, I got to sit behind some idiot, 100 idiots, 1,000 idiots. They're all idiots, to my view, because one after the other, they just are in the way, and they just don't move. They don't go. And then sometimes, like, one of them wants to enter the road, like, and they want you to let them in and stuff. And I'm always like, of course I'm going to let them in because that's the right thing to do. But I always know, I said, you watch. As soon as I let this person in or change lanes in front of me or whatever, they are going to slow me down. They are absolutely going to change lanes in front of me and go super slow in front of me. And I'm going to absolutely regret letting this fool in. But it's the right thing to do. You're a dick if you don't do it. You're just sitting right there, and they're looking right at you, and you're like, come on. I know what you're going to do, though. But just don't do that shit, and I'll let you in. That's what I'm thinking. But I know you're going to. I can just see it. You're going to, and then they sit there, and then they do it. They do it every time. It's like, that's how you thank me for letting you in? Now you're going to pull in front of me and like drive like a freaking snail or some shit? Oh my God. Anyway, the whole point of me going off on that is because this is why my Ducati has a lot of miles on it. Well, there's two reasons why the Ducati has a lot of miles on it. One is this reason, because when I'm on the motorcycle, whether it's the Ducati, the R6, the R1, or whatever, I don't have to participate in the traffic. I'm not forced to do something that I don't want to do. I don't have to do it. I don't have to sit in it. It's like I'm free. I feel free, and I'm not governed by the people in the Priuses and the other shit that's out there. I don't have to frickin' be subject to their level of whatever they're doing. Don't include me in y'all's bullshit. Y'all want to sit there and you want to just not get to where you're going. 2 hours later you might show up. I ain't about that. If y'all want to do that, go right ahead. I'm going to be on my way. Okay, and if you get mad about it, F you, I don't care, because you guys all piss me off. So if I piss you off, I don't really care. I'm not trying to piss you off, but if you don't like me doing this, I really don't give a shit, because y'all are the problem, not me. I'm not slowing anybody down. You are. So you're the wrong one, not me. So anyway, that's one reason why my bike has miles on it, because if I want to get anywhere around it, like when I went to help Mrs. Goat, that would normally take a long time, that trip to get where I was going. I was in 10 minutes, in heavy rush hour traffic, I was there. Like teleporting. 10 minutes. And I had fun while I was doing it. On the bike, I was zoop, 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 and I'm going wee the whole time. I'm having a great time. Oh, you need me to help you? Don't worry, I got my bike. I'll be there before you know it. Let's go ride. It gave me an excuse to ride. And I made a video out of it. People are watching it. Go figure. So anyway, that's why my bike has miles on it. Because even though I've lost value on that bike, the amount of value of what do they call it? Quality of life. Quality of life has value too, right? My quality of life value is way up high. My quality of life is really high because traffic destroys quality of life. But see, I don't sit in traffic, so my quality of life is really high. Now, I'm paying for that because of the decrease in value of my motorcycle. If I go to trade it in or sell it, it's got more miles than any other frickin' Ducati out there. Because I bought it to ride it and use it to enhance my quality of life. The other reason why it has more miles than it was ever intended was because I bought it as a backup bike to the R1. I bought it as a backup bike to the R1. And y'all all know the story with that. I thought when I put my R1 into the shop to get the transmission fixed, I thought, well, there goes 3 months. It's going to be 3 months before I get this bike back. But okay, but I don't want to not have a leader bike, so let me buy another one. I'm going to have a third bike. I had the R6. The R1 went into the shop. I was going to buy a third bike. I was going to have 3 bikes. But then I changed it to the Ducati at the last second. I need a little bit more money to put me over across the finish line. And so I traded in the R6, and then I was with the Ducati and the R1. But I really never had the R1 again because it lived in the shop for 2 years. And so the Ducati became the sole source of me being able to ride. And so, see, that's another way that I got screwed by the whole R1, what do you call it? Debacle, like this tragedy. It's a tragedy of the R1. The R1 tragedy. It didn't just destroy the experience with the R1. It actually seeped over into affecting my Ducati too, because the Ducati was supposed to be a special occasion bike, and then and not commute on it. Maybe once in a while I might take it to and from work or something if I felt like it, but the workhorse that of the 2 bikes was going to be the R1, but the R1 never came back. And when I did have it, I only had it for a couple of weeks just to know that it wasn't fixed right. Never ran right again. It never was the way it was supposed to be, even after paying on it for the bike payment for 2 years. There was no escape because it was in the shop in pieces. So I had no way to, and you couldn't sell it to anybody when it was broken. What was I supposed to do? Lie to somebody and say, oh, it's great, and sell it to some poor sap, and then just be totally evil like that to somebody? It's not in my nature to do it. So I had to take it up the ass really bad on that one. Oh, it was awful. And it cost me, I lost $20,000 on that, but I lost more than that, is what I'm saying, because of the extra miles that I had to put on the Ducati if I wanted to ride. Now, I could have just parked the bike and just taken the car and not rode. But y'all know me, I ain't going to do that, because then my quality of life sucks because I got to sit in traffic all the time. Everybody's got something that bugs them, right? Like, call it a weakness, call it a flaw in my personality, whatever you want. It's just the way I am. And I don't think bad of myself, and I don't regret feeling this way. I'm the right one, okay? All of those people out there that cause the traffic because they won't go or because they can't drive worth a shit and they're scared behind the wheel, they're the problem. They're the ones that have the deficiency. It's not me. I'm a good driver. I'm not scared. I can get it done. I'm not a dangerous driver or anything like that, but I can move efficiently down the highway in a car just fine. Just like nothing, right? It's so easy to do. It's absolutely easy. But for those people out there, because there's all different kinds of people, they find it difficult for some reason or whatever. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care if they're in your way. They don't care if they sit in the left lane. They don't give a shit about it. They don't care at all. And that's a form of evil, right, in itself. I mean, if like you know that you're bothering somebody, you're in somebody's way, and you refuse to like just be kind and just get over or pass the person or whatever, they just don't do it. It's like a way of life for them. And that's something that bugs me. Now, if I was one of them, if I was just like some schlep that really didn't care about driving that much and wasn't very good at it, maybe a little nervous behind the wheel, then I would be one of them, and I probably wouldn't even think twice about it. But that's not me. Driving has always come easy to me, right? I just have no problem. It's so easy to do, and it's just so frustrating. Like everybody's aggravating to me. And I'm not wrong about this. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do, and I fully understand that. There's no education that you could do to the public. There's nothing you could point out to them, flashing your lights and like, hey, can you get out of the way? They don't even get that. There's no fixing this at all. There's no fixing it. So, but there is a solution, and the solution is superbike. Ride a superbike, and don't be afraid to go in between the cars if you have to, or take the shoulder. If you're willing to bend the rules for your quality of life, and as long as you have the skill to do it and not die while you're doing it, I recommend superbike. That's what I do. But then I get a lot of miles on my bike, you know what I mean? Because you got to go to work. You got to pay the bills. But hey, I'm going to work in style. Every day is an adventure for me. How many people can say that? How many people, whenever they get up in the morning and then they brush their teeth, they're looking at their frickin' sad face in the frickin' mirror, going, God, this sucks. I feel like shit, blah, blah, blah. They probably drink too. I don't drink. There's people that drink in the evenings or whatever. They probably feel like shit when they wake up. And then they think, God, I got to go back into work today. I really wish today was my day off and blah, blah. And then they got to go sit in their frickin' car and then just sit behind all those people on their way to work, wherever the fuck it is, sitting in some corporate environment at some desk behind a computer with artificial lighting and in some cubicle or some shit, glad handing and playing the corporate game. And that sucks. God, that's a living hell. I can't even imagine living a life like that. And they don't even, who knows what they do with their lives. I mean, some people live adventurous lives, but the vast majority of people, that they don't fucking know what an adventure is. They don't know any. The most adventurous thing they do is stop by the bar on the way home or some shit, or go bowling or something. They don't know what. I mean, I don't know what people do, but I know that they're not having an adventure like I am every day. And whenever I can't ride my bike, or whatever, I feel like not happy. I feel not happy because riding And being free from all of this adds so much to my life. It makes the quality of my life really good. Um, I think that's easy to understand, right? I mean, is that hard to understand? Am I weird because of that? I don't think so. I think I'm the one who's living. I'm the one who has something to look forward to. Even just commuting, just on a commute. I enjoy my commute when I have my bike. When I'm in the car, I don't. I don't enjoy it, really. Now, I don't mind riding in the car, but like the other day, I rode in the car because it was raining. I was happy to have it. It was raining. I was very happy to be in the car. I got the nice audio system and all that, so I can listen to really cool music and just enjoy it. And it was interesting because a couple of times going to work, the traffic wasn't really that bad. I was able to make my way and cruise at a decent pace, and that was very unusual, actually. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And then coming home, I told you this the other day. It was like the left lane was kind of clear, and I was following a couple other cars, and we were just I couldn't even see past the other cars in front of me, but we just were able to keep pace almost the whole 20 miles, and I was like, what is going on here? This is so unusual, and I was just chill. I was just cruising down the highway, just floating along, had the jams going, and just kicked back, and I was just like, yeah, this is good. And it didn't bother me. But say, for example, there's some road construction or something, and then they got some lanes blocked off, and then you've got to sit in 2 miles of traffic. Oh my God, that's just awful. And that's fairly regular. There's always some construction, some repair. They're always doing something. And it can be bad. It can be bad. So anyway, are y'all tired of hearing about traffic yet? So anyway, OG Goat fan says, I totally understand your point, Goat. Makes complete sense to me. It does make sense. But, whenever I talk about this to anybody, they're always like, you've got a problem. I don't let things bother me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just never mind. You don't. Normal people, they will never understand. They will never get it. They will never understand. So don't even try. Don't even try explaining to them. Don't even mention it. Don't even talk to them. They will never. Nobody understands. They think you're crazy. They think you're the one that's got a problem. They've given up. They've completely given up. They quit. Their spirit is crushed. See, my spirit isn't crushed. See, that's the difference. My spirit is strong. I have a strong spirit, a strong will, and I don't just freaking just get crushed. And I don't just say, oh well, I wish I could in some ways. I wish because then I would be free from the frustration. Like ignorance is bliss. Like if you don't know any better, then you don't know how screwed up it is. If you don't know how it's supposed to be or how it could be, then you can be happy with how it is, right? But if you know that it's not really supposed to be this way, then that bugs you because there's a disturbance in the force. There's something wrong. This doesn't have to be like this, but it is, and that's where the friction comes in. But most people they don't even know it's not supposed to be like this. So they look at you and you're going, no, what's wrong with these people? Why won't they move? And they think you're the crazy one. And it's like, you know what it's like? Imagine this, folks. Imagine this. Imagine y'all remember, they don't have these anymore. They should. They should. What I'm about to tell you, they don't exist anymore as far as I know. Not really. Not like they used to. Y'all know what an insane asylum is? Y'all know what an asylum is, right? It's a place where people that aren't okay in the head would be committed to. They would be committed to an insane asylum. where they could get help, right? Or at least be in a place where they couldn't harm themselves or anyone else, right? It's like a hospital, but it's not really a hospital. It's terrifying to think about it, right? Can you imagine not being okay in the head, and then somebody says deems you not fit to be on your own, and then they commit you to an insane asylum? Well, some people are nuts. Some people have schizophrenia and all this, and they're cuckoo, right? And there's some really crazy people, but they don't really have insane asylums anymore. They did away with them. Um, but the point that I'm getting at here is, imagine this. Imagine you're sane, right? There's nothing wrong with you. You are normal. You are not cuckoo. You're not crazy. You're not having some kind of mental crisis or breakdown or anything. You're just just like you are right now, just a normal person. But imagine being committed into the insane asylum. Again, you don't want it, but they're saying, "Oh no, you got to go. You got to be in there." And then there you are, a normal person, in with all of the cuckoo crazies all around you, doing whatever they do, walking around talking to themselves, screaming and yelling, pooping in their hand and throwing it at you or wiping it on the walls. Whatever, flinging food and slobbering or whatever it is, like cuckoo weird shit, right? It's gibberish all the time, and maybe telling you things that aren't true, and they're all around you and like descending in upon you, and you're just sitting there as a normal person going, "Holy shit, this sucks. This is a freaking living nightmare." That's kind of the way I feel in real life. I feel like a normal person with a bunch of crazy people surrounding me all the time. Uh, I feel like I've been committed to an insane asylum that I can't get out of. And I'm the only normal person, and everybody out on the road is just completely nuts. That's what it is. God help me. And so, you know how I remain sane? See, y'all always say, "Well, Goat needs his bike or else he's going to go insane." Yeah, because if you put a sane person out in the mix with a whole bunch of people that are just out of their minds, how long do you think that it's going to take before you go out of your mind? Not very long. So when I have my bike, I'm able to remain sane. Can anybody relate to this? I don't know. I'm kind of just joking around here, but it sounds good, doesn't it? Wobsy1 says, "Do you wheelie the duck?" Yeah, I did a wheelie in the last country ride video. But I don't... Look, why are you asking about wheelies? It's okay. I'm just trying to make a point. And it's all good. I mean, you can ask me anything you want. That's fine. But why are you asking me about wheelies? I'll tell you why. Because it's trendy. You expect to see them. That's why. You expect to see them. Why do you expect to see them? Because it's trendy for social media. You're a victim of the trendiness, bro. See, the trendy got you. The trendy has you, man. Free yourself from the trendy. You don't need to see wheelies like whenever people are riding motorcycles. That's a trendy thing. That's a super trendy thing. That's a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, social media trend creation. That's all it is. Are wheelies cool on occasion? Sure, absolutely. But do you need to just pop them and just do them all the time? I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But it's trendy, man. It's a trendy thing that you're looking for. Free yourself, man. Free yourself. Cast off the desire to follow the sheep in front of you, my man. Be free. See, I'm not a sheep. I'm not saying you're a sheep. I'm just joking around. But anybody who's involved with the trend is like a group of sheep, kind of, right? Wherever the herd goes, that's where they go. That's trendiness. That's trendiness. But see, I ain't a sheep. I'm a goat, and that's very different. I don't go where the sheep go, man. See what I'm saying? So you don't need. Nobody needs to see wheelies in order to see good content. But it's a trendy thing. It's trendy. I expect if I better see a wheelie really fast, or else I'm not going to watch this anymore. I will unsubscribe. I swear to God, if you don't do a wheelie, I'm going to unsubscribe from you. I'm just fucking with you, man. Alex Corn says, "Goat is funny as fuck. I found a hidden gem." Well, yeah, because YouTube hides my shit, bro. Because I do, fairly intense riding on the bike, and they don't want anybody to know I'm here. They haven't deleted my channel. So instead of deleting my channel, they just section me off away from everybody else. I can never go viral. I can't really grow. That's why I only have less than 30,000 subs after all this time. They step on my face, bro. They step on my face. Maybe if I was more trendy. If I was more trendy, I would have more people subscribing to me. See, because all of those trendy people, they won't subscribe unless you're doing, like, what do they call it? Rev limiter coasters on your back wheel. Like, and turning your exhaust pipe molten red hot and blowing sparks out the back. You got to do that. And then you got to go every time, like, you're riding your bike, and just not shut the fuck up whenever you're riding. And you got to put all, like, those, like, little clips, those, like, little funny meme clips into your videos. And if you don't do that, people won't subscribe to you. See, that's the problem right there. Oh boy, just keep in mind, all of the people that you see doing wheelies on social media, every single one of them has wiped out really badly and more than once because they're doing the wheelies. Just keep that in mind. All of those people that you like watching who do wheelies, the best of them, they all have ate their shit. They have all crashed and destroyed their motorcycles by doing that. That's just what you get when you do wheelies. Kit Carson says, "I refuse to do wheelies." Well, you are not a sheep, man. See, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, wheelies are cool. I mean, I'm not saying they're not cool. They are cool. They are cool. The only thing that I'm talking about, and it's okay to like wheelies. It takes a lot of skill to do them, okay? Are they more dangerous? Are they bad for your bike? Yes. Yes, they both of those things. However, what I was talking about is just the required expectation of having to do them if you do social media. It's expected of you. And if you don't, well, I ain't subscribing. Well, I was subscribed because I thought you did them, but since you don't, I'll be taking back that subscribe. I'm going to take it back. I hate to do it, but I have no choice because I expect to see wheelies because the other guy that I watch does them. So, so I expect you to do them too. Since he does them, I expect you to do them. Oh boy, I'm just having a good time here. I'm having a good time. Kit Carson says, "Oh my God, Goat, you are speaking to my soul right now." Yeah, I can see it, man. I can see it. I can see your soul, man. I can see all of your souls, by the way. Y'all don't know that. That's a skill I have. I can see the souls in people. Yep, I can. Lucky for y'all, each one of you does have one. Because that would suck if you didn't. Oh boy. Larry says, "Telling the truth." Yeah, man, that's all I do, man. I joke around and have fun and stuff, and you can't always take me totally seriously all the time because I'm really just trying to have a good time here. But I always do tell the truth, though. I always tell the truth. I always tell the truth, my man. Blue Roosters here. Bezzy is back. Okay. Let's see. Just reading through some of your comments. Luck is Deadly says wheelies do tear up rear sprockets. Well, yeah, your chain. You know really why your sprocket is being torn up, right? Because the chain is stretching. And whenever you do clutch up wheelies, it puts places in your chain where it is stretched, and then there will be other places in the chain that are not stretched. It spot stretches is what it does. It's not even minute stretching over time, just like from normal use. It's not that. You get spot stretching. And then if you put your bike up on the stand and you rotate the back wheel and you watch the chain, you'll see it go tight and loose. And that's when you really should replace your chain at that point, because it's not evenly stretched. And then what happens is when the chain is excessively stretching, it doesn't fit into the teeth of the sprocket. So what has to happen is it has to reshape. It has to wallow out the sprocket teeth in order for that chain to fit in there. And that puts extra stress on the chain, and it chews up the sprocket and everything like that. And then when you back it out of your garage, it goes pop, 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 pop. Your chain, you'll hear your chain do that. And it will do that too over just normal use after a while when it's exceeded its lifespan. But if you do wheelies, and hey, look, if you want to do clutch up wheelies, it wears out your clutch sooner. It puts more debris in the oil. It stretches out your chain. It destroys your chain and sprockets. It messes up your front tire. It puts extra stress on the bearings, your steering head bearings. It blows out fork seals. It does all of it. It's bad. It's all bad for the bike. But what are you trying to get out of riding? If you need to do clutch up wheelies in order to feel satisfied with your ride, because that's just what you like to do, then that's what you should do. See, I'm not anti-wheelie. I just tell you the truth. Is it bad for the bike on the number of levels? Does it cause certain components to wear out quicker? Absolutely, because you're putting extra stress on the bike in multiple ways. And the other thing is I know people that have blown motors, because when they're up and then they keep it up for a while, the oil then is not in the right place for it to circulate properly throughout the rest of the motor. And then you can blow your motor like that too. So if you're doing balance point wheelies on a regular basis, there's a good chance you're starving your motor for oil too. So the bikes really aren't, can the bikes do it? Yes. Are they designed to do that? No, they're not. They're not designed for that. But can they do it? Yes. Just like a car, is it designed to do donuts in the intersection? Can it do it? Yes. Is it designed to do that? No, it's not. And is it good for the car to do that? No, it isn't. It destroys it, is what it does. And slowly but surely, you're destroying your motorcycle by doing wheelies. Now, the better you get at it, the softer and easier your technique will be on the bike. Now, you can do, but you're still, man, the only way to lift off the front of the bike off the ground is to put a lot of force into the components, the transmission, the clutch, the chain and sprockets, the suspension. There's just no way around that. But one of the things you can do is develop a technique to where you can really gently bring the bike back down. But there's something that cannot be avoided, and that's the stress of the front tire and the front wheel bearings and the steering stem bearings and all that stuff and your forks, no matter how gently you bring it down, if you've been doing a balance point wheelie, and say roughly the people that I see, they're doing like around 80 to 100 miles per hour is really where they're doing their balance point wheelies most of the time. And after a while, that front wheel stops spinning. Then when you bring it back down, even if you're gentle, when you bring it back down, that wheel has to go from 0 miles per hour to 100 miles per hour in a millisecond. Just think about that for a second. It leaves a black mark, like a skid mark on the concrete whenever I watch people do it. The tire, let's talk about the tire. Tires are amazing, by the way, that they can take all of this pressure and abuse and the heat and the impacts of hitting bumps and reflectors in the road and potholes and all this and going 190 miles per hour like over and over again on a regular basis. It's just, the tires are insane how amazing they are. However, they can have issues if you do certain things to them. And one of the ways that I've seen a problem be created is there was a guy that was doing long, high-speed balance point wheelies. And he would come down, and then he would be doing 120, 130 miles per hour, and then he would come down, and then that wheel from a zero spin, it wasn't rotating at all, would hit the ground, and a big puff of smoke comes up, and then the skid mark, and then the stresses on the tire. Just imagine, like, say this is your tire right here, right? And here's the road surface. And say my hand is the surface of the tire, right? And then this is your tire up here, but this is the contact patch. Well, when that tire hits the ground, but the ground is moving like underneath the tire at a fast rate of speed, and when that tire hits that ground, imagine the shearing forces on the surface of the tire, because it's got the shape, the carcass of the tire, it's got the tread, and it's got like the little grooves in it and stuff, the tread pattern. But that surface that contacts the road, the outer surface of the tire, that's the contact patch. That rubber in there is bonded with all of those cords and belts. It's a steel belted or radial belted tire. It's a tubeless tire. It's got all these freaking belts in there for strength. Well, the rubber can come delaminated from those belts. I mean, we see this in car tires, like little bubbles and where a belt's broken in the tire, and then you got to replace the tire, right? Because it creates like a misshape or a bubble in the tire. And what happened to this guy was that took place, is that he put so much shearing force that the contact patch of the tire delaminated from the belts on the inside. He didn't know it. And then he was doing like 180 or some shit miles per hour. It was on an S1K. And that tire came apart. It came apart at 180 miles per hour. He had a blowout. And front tires, they don't blow out, really. I mean, they're very reliable. I've never, up until this point, I hope it never happens, I've never had an issue with the front tire blowing out. Or a back tire, for that matter. I've never had a blowout. And knock on wood, it could happen at any time. Universe, don't strike me down. But I'm just trying to make a point to help people, universe. So don't punish me by saying this. But the point that I'm trying to make is that wheelie caused the shearing and the delamination of the tread away from the belts inside the tire. And then he had a blowout and it destroyed the front of his bike. It took out the radiator and the fairing and the front fender and all kinds of stuff because it slapped around, right? And we've seen in cars or trucks when a tire blows. I've seen this a lot on trucks where the rear tire blows and then the tread slaps. It's rotating around. It slaps the back of the bed of the truck, and you can see it destroys it, like where the back bumper is. You can see how it's like all curled and bent up because the tire came and destroyed the bed of the truck. Well, that's what happened to the front of this guy's motorcycle, but he didn't crash somehow. I wasn't there. This is what happened to him. And he wasn't fully aware of why that happened. He just said, well, I had a tire blowout. But I was riding with him and I saw him doing those long wheelies like that. And I said, aha, that's what caused. There's not a doubt in my mind. I solved it. That is why he had a front tire blowout, because of those high-speed long wheelies and then coming down, puff of smoke. Shearing force is so intense on the front tire, and then hauling ass on that tire after doing that over and over again. Oh, hell no. Look, I cruise at a high rated speed, like fairly regularly, and I'll take the bike up to pretty high speeds. And the last thing that, because I enjoy doing that more than wheelies, right? Wheelies, power wheelies here and there, that's all cool and everything. But just balance point, just like that, it's just not for me. It's just not something that I need in order to feel good about riding. For me to get out of riding what I want. On the other hand, I like to zoom, right? And be technical and choose my lines and shoot gaps and do all this stuff right out there. I love, and taking the turns and getting the form right and all that stuff. I love doing that stuff. And it's easier on the bike. The last thing that I need is to think, is my front tire going to blow out on me because I did that wheelie? No, I don't. I just don't want that. That's not a priority for me. Now, if it is for you, if you like to do that, just keep in mind you could have an issue like that. So if you'd like to do wheelies on a regular basis, high-speed wheelies, balance point, tire stops spinning, you bring it down, and that shearing force, just think about that for a second. And then are you going to then do 175 miles per hour right after that on that tire? A lot of people do. They're out there, but see, I think about these things because I don't want to have that happen to me. Because chances are, if you get a front tire blowout at 180 miles per hour, you're probably going to crash. How this fellow did not crash is just basically a miracle. He could be dead. He could be dead from that. From doing balance point wheelies. The wheelie didn't kill him, but the blown out tire caused by doing the wheelies could have. He's lucky to be alive. So these are things that, look, it's very serious. It isn't a game out here, right? Everybody think, it's a playground. We're just out here to have fun. There's the consequences. We don't think about this shit. But I'm telling you right now, people should think about those things. What are the effects? What are the effects of what I'm doing? And how can I minimize the risk from what I'm doing? So, I mean, this is just something that we should all consider thinking about, right? I try to, as much as I possibly can. So, yes, dopamine. So I figured out what your name is. It says tire problems with a few anomalies is a preventable problem. Not saying that as an experienced rider, but as an older dude, you got to do your checks. See, with age comes wisdom, my brother. Absolutely. See, a lot of times when we're younger, you just don't know that you should be thinking about that stuff. But as you have lived for a while, you've seen some things. You've been around. You've seen these types of things over the years happen. And then you start to think to yourself, you know, that's a possibility. Then you think to yourself, well, maybe that could happen to me possibly. I've seen it happen. I've seen all these things happen, and then you think, well, that's definitely something that's possible. And when you think, okay, well, this is possible, then you will look for anomalies in the tire. You will check your tires on a regular basis. You will think how to take care of your tires better while you're using them, because you don't think. A lot of times I think people don't even think about the tire at all. They don't even consider that when they're riding. It's just, hey, the tire's there. It's doing a good job. I don't need to think about it. But when you live a little bit and you've gained some wisdom through seeing stuff, then you realize, well, that tire, it's not perfect. You know, I mean, something could go wrong with it. There is a possibility that something could go wrong. And so you add that to your calculations of what you're thinking about while you're doing certain stuff, and that's what wisdom is. You know, that's what makes you smarter, is having the information after having experienced it or seen it, storing that information, and then using that information to make better decisions for yourself. That's what being wise is. And is it wise to do like high speed balance point wheelies and then come down hard on your tire and then do 200 miles per hour on the frickin' tire? The answer is absolutely not, because it might blow out. Now, if you don't do long distance balance point wheelies and then shear your tire by coming down, if you just ride normally, you know, technically you might be riding fast and stuff, but you haven't hit anything and there's no reason to think that your tire would have a problem, that's a different story. That's a totally different story. But if you're adding the component of the long distance wheelies into your riding, then you need to consider, okay, I'm putting extra force on the tire. So that needs to be part of my calculations when I think about what I'm doing when I'm riding. You need to take that into account, is what I'm saying. Do people do that? No, they don't. Absolutely not. Generally speaking, you know what people do? They watch social media, they see people doing whatever it is, and then they go out and they copy it. And that's the end of it. They don't think anything more about it until something breaks. Then they think about it. That's the truth. That's what happens. Because not that many people come into this live stream to hear me talk about it, right? Because YouTube hides my fucking shit. Yes. In hindsight, you always know when you rode that tire too long. Yeah, I see people, and friends of mine, by the way, which I will not name, they'll ride out with the cords showing on the tire. And you know what I've seen a lot of people do? I'm not throwing shade on anybody, right? I'm just talking here. I'm just talking. We know that the tires, whenever we ride the bike, at some point, it's going to be gone. The tire is going to be completely used. There's not going to be any tread left. And it's going to be, we're going to need to replace it, right? Everybody knows this. It's like everyone can see the future. Everyone is clairvoyant in a way, right? Like, we can all see the future when it comes to the tire. The future of this tire, at some point, it's going to be bald, right? And I'm going to have to change it. But you know what people don't do? They don't apply that into thinking, well, looks like I might have a couple of weeks left on this tire. I'm going to go ahead and order a new one right now. Well, and you know what people think, I mean, I can't get in people's heads. I'm just assuming this, by the way. I assume they think, well, I don't want to order it yet because I want to use this tire a little bit longer. And so they wait till the last minute thinking that they're getting longer life out of the tire by not ordering the new one, I guess. And then what happens is it wears out a little quicker than they expected for whatever reason. And then it's got cords showing and they don't have a tire. And then they're scrambling looking for a freaking tire. Like, has anybody got a tire? I called Cycle Gear and this and that. They don't have it. Blah, blah, blah. You know, and then they're scrambling trying to find a tire because they want to go ride. And then you know what they do? Instead of parking the bike, they don't have a tire and they think, well, I got cords on. Hey, I've seen a lot of people out on bike nights with cords on their tires. They go ride anyway. And I'm thinking, do you know how thin your tire is? Like how freaking micron thin it is whenever you can see the cords? Not safe. Not safe. But, you know, that's how people do it. That's how most people do it. Me, on the other hand, I don't wait. I just order it. I usually order from Revzilla online. I just put an order in, and like within 2 or 3 days, it's on my front doorstep. And then you know what? I just set it in my garage, and then I run out the tire down to the point where I feel like I better go ahead and change it, because whenever you get down to the wear bars, you still got a little tread left, and it's so easy to just keep riding that tire. Right? It's just so easy to keep riding that tire because you think, well, tires, this is $315 for this tire. It's expensive. And they are. My tire costs $315 for my rear tire because it's a 260/17. That's expensive. And you want to make it last as long as you can. However, also wisdom being applied here, I know that whenever you have a new tire, it has thicker tread on it, and you're less likely to get a flat. But naturally, as it wears, the tire tread gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And you got to go through that process because you're not going to just only have new tires on your bike. So you got to wear it down to some point. But once it gets to the wear bars, that's when I take it off, because the chances of me getting a flat with a worn down tire are double. You know, it doubles the chance of you getting a flat because of the thinness of the tire at that point. You can roll over some sharp objects or a small screw or something like that. If you have a new tire, it may not puncture it. It may not make it all the way through. But if you hit that same small nail or that same small sharp object and your tire is worn out, there's a good chance you could be stranded alongside of the road and having to call somebody to come get you. So instead of taking that risk, I would rather just sacrifice a little bit of that extra, because the cords are getting ready to show on it anyway. I mean, you might get another week. You could probably get another week out of it. Like for me, once it's to the wear bars, I could probably eke out another 7 days on it if I'm not shredding on it too hard. But my concern about getting a flat would bother me too much. So off it goes. And you know what's great? I've got tire tools and a balancer right here. I just do it in my garage. So easy. I mean, at first, if you haven't changed a tire yourself before, you're going to find it to be a little bit difficult. But the more you do it, just like with anything else, and it's certainly doable, as long as you got the right tools and you're somewhat adept, you know, and you can think and you don't give up, you're confident in yourself, you can change your own tire. It's not that hard. It has saved me so much money and time. What I used to have to do is I would order the tires and then I would take them someplace, like to the dealer or whatever, because I would want to get them to mount them and then balance them. And you have to balance them, folks. I never balance my tires. Well, maybe you don't know that your bike is vibrating, and it is. Maybe you don't know how smooth your bike could be. Maybe you don't know that you don't your bike is vibrating, but you don't know it. Maybe you think that's normal for it to vibrate like that, right? Maybe you've never experienced a smooth bike. If you think that you don't need to balance your tires, that's what you're telling me. Is that you don't know how your bike is really supposed to feel. If you're and I'm not throwing shade on anybody, I'm just trying to help here. I'm just trying to help. I'm very direct in the way I help. I don't know if you understand. I don't hold back on what I want to say. So I'm not trying to offend anybody. And I know there's people here that probably say, I never balance my tires. That once in a while, you can just slap a tire on your wheel and then it'll just naturally be okay, because the heavy point of the wheel will be perfectly by chance offset by the heavy point of the tire. And then you got lucky, right? That does happen. It's happened to me. So I know that that's a thing. But more times than not, I mean, what are the chances of you getting it perfect every time? Almost nothing. Almost zero, right? It can happen, but what's more likely is that your tire is going to vibrate, because they're not perfect. I know this for a fact. I have a wheel balancer because I know, and now I've gotten my tires mounted before and not balanced them, and then they frickin' vibrate. They go, and you can feel it in the bike when you're right. It's not the engine vibrating. It's not the bumps on the road. It's your tires are out of balance and they're going like that at that frequency. At the frequency that the tires are spinning, you're going to be feeling that vibration, and it is not pleasant. It destroys the riding experience, because all you can think about when your bike is vibrating like that is that weird oscillating vibration. It sucks. Whenever your bike is smooth, whenever you take it up to speed and it's just like smooth and it's just purring along, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that feeling of your bike operating glass smooth. You're feeling the normal vibrations of the motor, you know, depending upon the RPM and stuff, and you're going over the bumps and all this and that. But your bike is balanced, it's tuned, the suspension's right. That's where it needs to be. And if you're not balancing your tires when you're getting them mounted, you are vibrating, and you probably don't even know that it's not supposed to vibrate like that. That's what you're telling me if you don't vibrate your tire, or if you don't balance your tires. I know for a fact they will vibrate. I don't care what bike. It did it on my R6, it did it on the R1, and it does it on the Ducati. That's three very different bikes, and they all vibrate if you don't balance the tires. Now, if you go with the Corsa tires, whether it's the Super Corsa or the Diablo Corsa that I run sometimes, they put a little red spot on the sidewall of the tire. Now, the tire that I have, it did not have a red spot on it. I don't know what that means, but all the other tires I've gotten they have like a little dot on the tire on the sidewall, and you're supposed to put that where the valve stem is. That doesn't mean, though, that it ain't going to vibrate. That doesn't mean that it's balanced at that point. It just means that you're doing the best you can with the heavy part of the tire and the heavy part of the rim being, you know, offsetting to where you get the best chance of having a naturally balanced wheel tire combo without having to put weights on it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't need balancing with weights. It just means that it's in a better state to not require as much weight in some cases. It may not need any weight. Sometimes I line the tire to the rim like that, and sometimes it doesn't need any weights. But I still check it, and that's one of those times where you get lucky with it. But Usually I align it properly and I still got to put a couple of weights on it. Sometimes quite a few weights. It just depends. Because those tires are they're poured in a mold or whatever, and sometimes there's just a little bit more material that hardens up in one section of the tire more than another. It's impossible to get it absolutely perfect, even in the manufacturing process. But you need to balance them. And if you aren't doing it, just do it, okay? And then you'll see what I'm talking about. Then you'll be like, holy shit, Goat was right. This bike has never felt smoother. And another factor is how fast do you go? If you don't go that fast, if you're doing like 55 or some shit, usually you may be out of balance and never feel it. But if you're doing 120, 130 miles per hour and you're out of balance, you're going to feel it. Whenever I did the 610 loop video, whenever I was up at like really high speeds, my rear tire was put on and it wasn't balanced and it was vibrating. It was going the whole way around. And I was thinking, I'm not 100% sure why it's vibrating, but hey, we're going to do this anyway. But I will tell you, it was in my mind. It was knocking on my brain during the whole time around that loop. And it was one of the reasons why I slowed down as I went around the loop. I could have gone much faster, but that vibration was kind of like knocking on my brain just a little bit. And I just was like, I don't want to push her 100%. I don't want to open her up completely because I'm pretty sure it's just the tire that's out of balance. But what if it's a bubble in the tire? What if it's a belt that's come loose? What if I'm going to get a blowout? You know, I still went for it anyway. And if you crash doing 175 miles per hour instead of 195 miles per hour, it's like, what's the difference at that point? But it made me feel better, you know, because I just didn't want to go 100%. I feel like my chances of survival were better. And I wasn't even really worried like so much about survival, but really in a way that's really what you're thinking about, you know, at some level. So anyway, so Mr. Mimes making vids. That's cool. I suggest everybody watch Mr. Mimes vids. Just reading through some of your comments. It's Dopamine says, nah, man, when your bike doesn't feel right, it's kind of over, right? Well, yeah, I mean, if you look, when you're riding, when I'm riding, let me tell you about what I do. I don't know what other people do, but this is what everyone should do, in my opinion. When I'm riding my bike, I am hyper dialed into noticing what the bike is doing, not just because of riding it, but I'm listening and observing and thinking about the vibrations from the motor and how it feels coming up through the bars and the seat, the pegs, just the normal operation of the engine. If I feel a knock or a tick, or if I hear something that doesn't sound right, I'm listening for that too. If there's anything that feels abnormal in the transmission, the drivetrain, meaning the chain and sprockets, or the tires, or in the suspension or anything. And a lot of times what I notice quite often is the back will feel squishy. And what that means is I'm getting a flat. But I'm able to detect that immediately right away. Just as an example, is one of the things that can happen. The other thing that I detected fairly quickly was I had a couple of rollers broken off of the chain that I had on before this one. And it was, when I was slowing down, it was going click, clunk, click, clunk, click, clunk. And I knew that was on the chain because of the sound and the frequency and how how it was timing with how fast I was going. I knew right away that's the chain, and I checked the chain, and sure enough, it had a problem. And I was able to catch it. Whereas if you're not listening for that type of thing, or paying attention to it, it may go unnoticed, and then that could have some consequences associated with it. Because you see, on a motorcycle, you have to catch things before they happen. That's how you avoid crashing, right? I mean, it just depends on what it is. You may not crash. Like, you could have a chain snap on you and it may just go out the back and not cause you any problems at all. But then you're stranded. And that sucks all on its own, because never is a good time to have a chain break on you. I can think of some really bad moments when you would not want that to happen more than others. But then you're stranded. But the other end of the scale would be that it can lock up in the wheel and then cause you to crash at a high rated speed. Or it can just come out and then come up and hit you in the ass and destroy a large portion of your motorcycle and not crash. That happened to me once. So you want to catch those things before they happen, and one of the ways that you can do that is by listening for any oddities, things that are out of the norm. Is the engine making a sound that it doesn't normally make? Am I feeling something, a knock or some kind of a vibration that normally isn't there, but right now it is? Am I feeling a little sluggishness when I'm turning the bike? Oh shit, my tire's going flat. Like the other day, I got a flat, and I was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles from my house, right? And I noticed right away it was starting to go flat. And I was able to pick up the pace while still maintaining an awareness that I need to be extra careful about control. But I was able to hurry myself, is what I'm trying to say, back to the house before the tire completely went flat. I saved myself by being aware of what it felt like. The familiarity of knowing the bike and knowing that something it was almost unnoticeable, and it would be easy to not notice it until the frickin' tire's flat. It would be easy to just not even pick up on it. But I'm hypersensitive to this stuff because I pay very close attention to it, and I know what I'm listening for or feeling for. These are things that any passionate motorcycle rider should know. You know, you should be familiar with these things. The number one is the baseline operation of your machine. You should absolutely know what it feels like when everything is working right. The motor's working right, the tires have the right pressure in them, your chain and sprockets are good, everything's golden, right? That you should become very familiar with. And then while you're riding, you should have your ears and your mind open and in tune with anything that makes some kind of a different sound or a different feel, a different vibration with your bike. And then if you notice something like that, investigate what it is. And then that is proper motorcycle stewardship and management. That's proper care, and through caring for your bike, you're caring for your own well-being is what you're doing. That's really at the core of what drives that. It's not trying to maintain the motorcycle for the motorcycle's sake, which that's part of it, but really, if something goes wrong with your bike, it could end up causing you physical harm, and that's really what is the top level of concern. If something goes wrong when you're riding your bike, is it going to hurt you or kill you? And it very well could, depending upon what type of riding you do. If you're just riding some kind of like a 350cc naked bike or something just around town or some shit, and you really don't go that fast or put that much pressure on the components or anything like that, that you probably nothing would ever go wrong with it the entire time you own it. Just change your oil and replace your tires when they need to. Keep your chain and sprockets lubed up okay. Probably last you the life. Your chain and sprockets probably last the life of the bike if you take care of it. But if you're riding a super intense, high-powered super bike and you're pushing it up toward the limits on a regular basis, you better damn well be paying attention to what your bike is telling you and catch it before it bites you. Because you're living on the edge at that point, not just with how you're riding, but the very machine. It has to work perfectly all the time. And they're machines and they break. Sometimes things go wrong. And the way that you survive is by noticing it before it happens, or as it's happening, to take evasive action and slow the bike down, or not take that turn because you're entering it with a flat tire, or not riding your motorcycle when the cords are showing on the tire because you ordered it in advance. That's another thing. Or making sure your chain and sprockets are properly adjusted and well maintained, and you check it. Close inspection. You're looking for tight spots, and then you're also looking for missing components. The other thing you're looking for is the shape of the teeth in the sprocket. Are they really pointed? Are you missing some of the teeth? I've seen people not know that their sprockets and chain were worn out until they're out riding, and then their chain slipping on the sprocket because it broke all the teeth off. I've been out and had that happened to somebody that we were out riding with. Their front sprocket was completely gone because the chain stretched out so far and it wallowed out the teeth in the sprocket to the point where it stretched them to the point where it broke the tips off of all of the teeth on the sprocket. And they did not know it until they're giving it gas and it's going zzz, like really grindy, and the bike won't go. And they're like, I don't know what's wrong with my bike. Well, all the teeth are off the sprocket because you didn't even think to check it. I swear to God, that happened one night out on bike night. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy because your chain and sprockets, I mean, it could have broken. It's like when it stretches that far and it's knocking teeth off the sprockets, you're lucky it didn't break and kill you. So anyway, so Lucas has something to say. You got something to say to me, Lucas? What are you trying to say? Post it again so I can read it. And then I'm going to get out of here. But yes, a super chat, like OG Goat Fan says, a super chat will get my attention. But listen, whenever I'm like in like flow state like this, and I'm just being as brilliant as I am as explaining all of this, man, I can't look at the chat and have you interrupting this amazingly genius flow here. It's like, why are you trying to interrupt my genius flow, man? Especially when this genius flow like this is just trying to help people stay alive. I mean, we got to think about what's important here, my man. Toxic Brain says, why is your Ducati red or black in different versions? You mean different videos? Yeah, different videos. Because it was black, and then I put it back to red. So I had it red, then I made it black, and now it's red again. So that's why. G GoFin says, even $2 will work. Lucas says, go. Just wondered if you want to come test in my endurance race car over at Angleton. Could you ever be lured into four wheels? Yeah, absolutely, man. Of course. Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That would be cool, bro. We can make a video out of it, man. It'd be fun. I love cars. I've always been a car guy too. Now I'm much more of a motorcycle guy, obviously. But I've always loved I love cars, boats, airplanes, personal watercraft, four wheelers, dirt bikes. I mean, I love downhill skiing, water skiing. I mean, I'm that dude, man. I love all of that stuff. And race cars, dragsters, track cars, exotic cars, regular car. I love them all. I love them all. Pitchfork testing $1.99. Thanks, buddy. That makes two of you that super chatted me today. Yes, I prefer two wheels first because two wheels is a superpower like no other. In the right hands, you ride in the right machine. You got the right rider, and you put them in an environment that they're very familiar with, and then you've got superpower ability unlocked. Now, in a car, there's a superpower there too, but it's limited in such a way where two wheels are not limited. In the real world environment, like in the area that I live in a big city, a car is subject to all of the traffic that's out there. A car cannot free you from the traffic. Even the most amazing car, like a 2,000 horsepower GTR or a twin turbo Lambo, right? They're awesome vehicles, and I would love to have either one. I would not turn either one of them down. But they cannot free you from traffic. On a no, even if you had a 3,000 horsepower GTR and you started and you put me on a 600, an R6, and you said, okay, both of you beginning right now are going to go from this point on the south side of town to the north side of town during rush hour. I'd be like, I got this without even a doubt. I would take that R6 and I'd be like, see you suckers. And then I would be to the destination long before that car would ever get there. This is what I'm talking about. The two wheels unlocks total freedom. That's the superpower. To be wherever you want, no matter what the conditions are out there, for the most part. So Nick Knack, $10, dude. Thanks, man. Love the stream, Goat. Well, thanks, Nick Knack. I love you for loving the stream, my man. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Look, whenever y'all, rightly compliment me, whenever y'all throw these wonderful compliments my way, which are well deserved by me, of course. It does help. It makes me want to keep going. It makes me want to come back here and do it again. Okay. So it means a lot to me. All kidding aside, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I do deserve it though. I deserve a lot of super chats and I deserve a lot of compliments. For being this great, not just handsome, but I'm also great too. So it's good to be recognized and appreciated for what is obvious, but I do appreciate it. So anyway, I am going to get out of here, folks. We are at 2 hours and 18 minutes. It was just 2 hours and 2 minutes just a second ago. Where did those others, how did we pass 16 minutes from where I just looked at it? Jeez, I don't even know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here, guys and gals. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all so much. And obviously you have exquisite taste for choosing to be here when you could be anywhere else doing anything else. And I appreciate you so much. I hope what we talk about helps, because that's really all I'm trying to do is I just want to help. I want to help keep you all safe and have a great riding experience and therefore a higher level of quality of life, right? And that's what motorcycles do, and the friendships that all come from having the shared interest. So anyway, I love you guys. I love you. I love you. So anyway, Okay, Lucas, thank you so much, man. Um, we'll put it together if that's what you want to do, man. All right. Y'all take care, and we'll do it again tomorrow night. If you guys